afejibre na ayenti kasebo no enchemu yeshase de free ebibre matoya mankamuko ECOWAS mpanifo asoye na nsen asojafo kakra bia na watwe aban na watu aban ato aba amomogu ewo Niger Mali ne Burkina Faso memu no na msoma ECOWAS mpanifo ye se amani a omoma kemanko bia memu nya adwuma na aban entungu saa akoso no omososo Niger krampo de ECOWAS mpanifo ye se obobo asojafo domo no na odo omo akosebe ya asojafo aban a omobetu aban ya to aban yi kemanko bia memu kwanso egu no omo akopamo mafiri ho ebe Niger so ye se ECOWAS fo pa omomra na de besi ECOWAS mpanifo dwene hu se ade no omokwa emoa eno nti omotwe esenseye ne mo omoka se omoyi Niger ku no aman no de free ECOWAS ku no mu a wontumi no mu ni nkita ho bia mu na otwewe ye nti anya ekire se odwumtani oda ECOWAS ku na no Rauma Ali Tura onen sentrofo di nkomo se ECOWAS mpanifo ehia na omo abamane se eson ye ode ato Niger so se oyi Niger afri ECOWAS ku mu no afedi omo ayi tabono afri won so ni nyina omo kire se ni nyina ye enipa setam yedie odwene ho se enipa e wo Niger memu no amase se omu ntumi ntubata enko ba bia obia so ntumi nko ene omo enko nkudidwa we ene ma ECOWAS mpanifo odwene ho a omo tu saa na moyi na odwumtani ye oda ECOWAS kwa no ye Nigeria mampani Bola Ahmed Tinubu ono so de atudwa se ba bia ewiase edu no ECOWAS mpanifo betrase na omahwe kwampa se aman bi esore se bi asojafo man mbutu aban no gu a ekwane odo o mefa so fi nya ho nko de bi asi Burkina Faso Mali na afi Guinea ho nyina so no asojafo aban tunwo akoso ya se o betrase adwene ho no kwampa asemi se bisi bio a omo ede mefa so ntisi a no omo age ECOWAS ku no asan atomo bio ne mum omo nhye pie on ba wo kire na omo ede ho so nkomo sei eno de tudwa.
The following measures imposed. The authority has resolved to lift with immediate effect the following measures imposed on the Republic of Niger. A. Closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger to be lifted. No-fly zone of all commercial flights to and from Niger is to be lifted. Suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS member states and Niger is to be lifted. Freezing of all service transactions, including utility services, is to be lifted. Freezing of assets of the Republic of Niger in ECOWAS central banks is to be lifted. Freezing of assets of Niger state and the state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks is to be lifted. Suspension of Niger from all financial assistance and transactions with all financial institutions, particularly EBID and BOID, is to be lifted.
We ECOWAS mpanifo se mo ede atudwa efa so ana omode ato Niger so asabre omo ye free wo ene mo nsem na woteye no na efiri wa na ye ko anomonto bi a Ghana by 2 years agudi etu no maimo no afibia enya royalties ana kakra ade film na mo ye kwa akopebusi emudro ne de abaye mpuntuduma Ghana ha na ejeje sikakoko na agudi emu de kakra enya no a na ye de tutu aka ye frɛ no Ejapa royalties deal na opposition NDC for kaseti ai meku ensha abayase no bebre no anso kaseti ai say sa na monto emwayen na otwetwam ne beto dwa se opani a na ohwe adwuma yi so copy public account committee animo no omubusa no se Ejapa royalties an adwuma no anamonto no yenya amaso na Ghana kasa ne yabo ho no se yaboka American dollars opepim edumienu eno na public account committee ma se dwafo fu yese na sebe ye kotwe dua na yenye ntwa ye pieto so de ka wansam ho sen se Ejapa royalties enya amaso a e ka yabo ho de ntiasinum ne no ena opania be de chi oda Imani Africa no Rabrai Simons o de atudwa se wo se Ghana fo ka bibi e de ekire aba no se Ejapa royalties adwuma de na odi echi no eja de refa so bi abebre Ghana men eno nti be bi edru no o se twetwere kra fi se ka ena ede bre.
But the fact that everything was done to ram this through, even though it was against the interests of the people, and there were reasons, as I've given, some of them I've given, that suggest that Ejapa could be a conduit for massive corruption, the way it has been designed. That matter was never addressed. So if the NDC makes an argument on broader strategic grounds, as well as on ethical grounds, and say that we don't think the way that these monies were spent were in our interest, and that they want to recover it from the companies and the rest of it. Of course, it will be very complicated because you have contractual matters and you have a state party, you have these private companies. We've not seen the agreements. The starting point for the NDC will be to call for the agreements between all of these entities and the subsidiary agreements between those companies and all the subcontractors, not all of whom have been disclosed. That's number one. Number two is to ask for the compliance history of these companies, because they were still set up in Ghana, in Jersey, etc., etc. What is their compliance history? Number three, to ask for the liabilities that are still being built up. Because remember that when you go and set up a company, their compliance cost, that continue.
We ayura bright Simon say oya penia be de choda imani Africa no na sem kroyara eno ra roche da here ba ya on ye nkuta odi ebofu panin edema MPP amanyuko no ono so dia to ya say eja priorities adwuma no anama na Ghana metu no efuso bia ni ho no omo kaseti ano omo ntia de no ase eno nti na bibia na omo kafa ho.
Bright Simon's position is conjecture, because you are trying to impugn motive on something that has not happened. Because this whole Japa thing is complex. Hope you appreciate that. It's a complex, abstract concept to try to create value for this country. So not a lot of people understand what a Japa is. And so it is possible, and it is easy to leverage that confusion and want to extract political value out of it. And that's what Sami is doing. And I want to look fair and square in the faces of Ghanaians and say, look, we sit here and we're saying that government is borrowing to develop this country. The Japa instrument is designed to generate revenue, capital and capital to do expansive developmental work for this country, which will not be on our debt on our books as debt, but it will be revenue that come that we can use to develop this country.
We aye Richard here ba ya oyenkuta odi ebofu panin ma MPP na owie ye no na sameje mfia ono so yenkuta odi so edema NDC de tu dwa se ejapa deal ne de eye apambia aban no nipa bi kabo mu fa nkuntu ase. So don't sababo Ghana mesikam na omo ede ayede ope.
It is very important. Must be interested in the recovery of these illegal payments, these wasteful payments, and the punishment of the perpetrator.
You're actually tied.
And the role we have, of course, and the role we have is by ensuring that the people responsible for these loots are booted out of office.
We ura sameje mfio henkuta odi so edema ende samanyoko ono so de okafa eja priorities nsensem no ho na oteye no na ye free no so a na ye ko ensem foforo mu ye de ani enso twere emrahye badwafie mu na otwetwe mu no na ebeto edwa se MPP mrahye badwafo afemu no onyamfo se chimensa bonsu ya oda omo ano no omo yide free ho ono akra de krata command penny for se wontimi nto aso bio amuru Alexander Fenyo Markin na abesi na nemu onyamfo Patricia PJ asokwa mrasebdeni na bi de echire na afi afoforo ye ka ho ayo onyamfo Frank Anodompre ra Alex Tete Jumboa na afi afoforo nso ka ho ma omonso ye deputy majority of omo na behwe na mrasebdafo na aka no omo MPP afemu no onwede etumpon na no eno onyamfo Roxin da fia meko yo ye Saudai mrashabujeni wodi atu ya sei said the mrashabujafo MPP afemu niema ekro no ebe ye dia momo pa se ombetimi edi MPP fo no animu fi se free sabre conference beto aba no enya dia wo mo NDC mrashabujafo no obema wo mo MPP fo no omo afa no ahogoro sokra.
No, a year ago the MPP berated the NDC for going through a similar process, to the extent that even when our new leader was on his feet, they want to embarrass him. And when our deputy leader gets up, they throw, side dates, infra dates, sit down, lend the rope, that sort of thing, just across the aisle. Today they thought they were chewing the food. But I'm saying, but you don't do that to leaders. So I'm saying that a year ago they thought they were chewing the fitness of a monkey, but they were chewing their own. Today they are also in crisis. But I hope that they can come out of it. But let me say that they are going to have it tough from us.
We only for rocks in the fear meko Saudi Mrashabjeni and I say MPP penifo fra we omono omo fa na hogoro so na simkuya na kane okankwe North Mrashabjeni ma MPP ra Isa Fusini ono so dia to just say ayeye say MPP mpanifo asesa omo akandifo mu a ye mo omo kwan na de opeso omo ye no omo nya fi say omo ewo de sware hunu say abaye beto na fe obedi nkunim na ade eta koso Ghana samanyuko bia ba onya mfie nwotwepe na naban egu ama fofora ba no breaking the 8 omo de omo atime huri atrasa.
The party will still have to be going by the old standard orders whilst parliament is also in transition trying to implement the new standing orders. The party, New Patriotic Party, is readying itself for elections 2024. And that one you cannot take it away from the party. Party has done some significant move appointments within the last couple of months. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen some movement, even within government. And if the party thinks that at this time, looking into the future, this is what we need in Parliament, I think that it is an opportune time for party to sit to the caucus. When I went to Parliament in 2017, nobody consulted me on who was going to become my leader in Parliament because the standing orders at the time defined who the majority leader is.
Well,
and since a member of Parliament designated by the party or parties holding majority of the seats in the House, and that applies to us. If what I'm saying, the standing orders, and that has been the convention or the process over the life of the standing order, because that is what the standing orders say. But I also know to say that because a member of Parliament was not consulted, look, the decision of who becomes or the composition of the leadership is taken at National Council.